The message was written in shaky pencil, hidden between two forgotten pages of a library book no one had checked out in years. It wasn't meant for attention, and it wasn't meant to be found so soon. But within hours, that quiet plea would ripple through the city like thunder on steel wheels. What began as a homeless girl trying not to disappear would end with 400 Hell's Angels moving as one, and no one could have predicted why or how. The question was never whether help would come, it was who would hear her first. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet acts that change lives, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Only Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. The girl's name was Mara Eloin, though no one had asked her name in months. She was 16, small for her age, with a coat 2 sizes too big and shoes that split at the seams. The city library had become her refuge, not because it was warm, though it was, but because it was silent in a way that didn't judge. The librarians didn't ask questions as long as she kept her head down. Mara learned which corners caught the sun in the afternoon and which chairs creaked loud enough to warn her if someone was coming too close. Books were the only things that didn't look through her. That morning, hunger sat heavy in her chest, but heavier still was the feeling that she was fading. Shelters were full, streets were cruel, and every day felt like it erased a little more of her voice. She wandered into the history aisle, pulling down an old hardcover about motorcycle clubs in America, its spine cracked and pages yellowed. She didn't know why she chose it, only that the cover showed riders standing together, unafraid, unbroken. Inside the back cover, she found a blank page. Her hands shook as she wrote, not a letter, not a plea, just a truth. She wrote that she was cold, that she was scared, that she didn't know where to go anymore. She wrote that if anyone ever found this, she hoped they were kind. Then she signed only her first name and slid the book back into place, as if hiding a piece of herself between those pages. Hours later, the book was checked out by Jonas Cade, a man most people crossed the street to avoid. He was broad-shouldered, gray-bearded, leather-vested, and known across the region as a road captain for a local Hells Angels chapter. Jonas hadn't come to the library for that book specifically, he was there because the noise in his head had gotten too loud, and reading helped him slow down. When he reached the last page and saw the writing, something tightened behind his ribs. It wasn't the words alone, it was the way they leaned, as if written by someone afraid to take up space. Jonas didn't show the message to anyone at first. He walked out into the daylight and sat on his bike longer than usual, thinking about winters he remembered, about nights when the road was the only thing that held him together. By the time he started the engine, his decision was already made. He took a photo of the message and sent it to a private group chat labeled only with a winged skull. He didn't explain much, he didn't have to. Within an hour, engines began to wake across the city. Riders who were fixing garages, running errands, or sitting down to late lunches felt the same pull. By dusk, 400 Hells Angels had gathered at an old warehouse near the river, their bikes lined up like a wall of resolve. There was no grand speech, no shouting. Just instructions shared, roles taken, supplies loaded. They knew the city well, where people fell through the cracks, where kids hid when they had nowhere else. They split into groups, moving quietly, deliberately, searching not for trouble but for one girl who had asked the world not to forget her. Mara didn't know any of this as night fell. She sat on the steps behind the library, hugging her coat tight, wondering if she'd made a mistake by leaving that message. When the sound reached her, it didn't come all at once. It came like a distant storm, growing, echoing off brick and glass. Fear rose first, then confusion, then something else she hadn't felt in a long time, hope, sharp and terrifying. The bikes stopped a block away, lights dimmed. Men and women dismounted, not rushing, not surrounding, just approaching as if they were careful not to scare a wounded animal. They didn't crowd her, they didn't interrogate, they offered warmth first. A blanket, a cup of soup, a jacket that smelled like leather and oil and home. Jonas stepped forward last, kneeling so he wasn't towering over her, holding the book. He pointed to the page, to her handwriting, and nodded, as if to say she had been heard. For the first time in months, Mara cried without trying to hide it. That night didn't fix everything. It didn't erase trauma or rewrite the past. But it changed the direction of her life. The writers arranged a safe place to stay, connected her with advocates who didn't disappear after one phone call, and stayed present in a way systems often failed to. They visited, they checked in, they made sure she finished school. And every year after, on the same date, a small group of bikes parked quietly outside the library, not to be seen, but to remember. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Only Kindness so more stories like this can be told. Your engagement truly matters. Before the video ends, we ask you one more thing: leave a comment. Tell us what kindness means to you, or simply write her name, so it doesn't fade again.